The rain fell hard on the metal roof of the research station. June looked up from his work and sighed. Another storm was coming. He had been on Vega 9 for almost 2 years now, studying the local plants and animals. As the only xenobiologist, in this part of the colony his days were long and often lonely. "Computer, what time is it?" June asked, stretching his arms above his head. "Local time is 21:43, the computer replied in its flat voice. June rubbed his eyes. He should sleep soon, but he wanted to finish sorting his samples first. The new species of glowing moss he had found might help the colony with their power problems. If he could just figure out how it created light without heat. A loud crash from the storage room made him jump. "Hello?" June called out. "Is someone there?" No answer came. The other scientists had gone back to the main colony 2 days ago. He was alone here, or at least he was supposed to be. June grabbed his light stick and walked slowly toward the storage room. "This is Dr. June Kim. Please identify yourself," he said, trying to sound brave. The door to the storage room was open, a crack. June pushed it wider and shined his light inside. At first he saw nothing unusual, just boxes of supplies and science equipment. Then something moved behind a large container. "I see you there," June said. "Please come out. I won't hurt." "You!" A small, thin arm appeared from behind the container. It was not a human arm. The skin was light purple with small spots of silver. The hand had 6 fingers. June almost dropped his light stick. A vegan, an actual native of the planet, was in his lab. "It's okay," June said softly. "You can come out." Slowly, a small figure emerged. It looked like a child, no taller than June's waist. The face was almost human-shaped, but with large, round eyes that reflected his light like a cat's. 2 small horns curved from the top of its head, and long, thin tendrils hung from where ears would be on a human. The child was wearing something like a simple dress made of woven plant fibers. June knew he should call the colony security right away. The rules were very clear. No direct contact with the natives without official permission. But something stopped him. The child was shaking, and one of its arms had a large cut that was leaking dark blue liquid. Blood, June realized. The child was hurt. "You're injured," June said, pointing to the cut. The child didn't respond but pressed itself against the wall, eyes wide with fear. June put down his light stick and held up his empty hands. "I want to help," he said. He pointed to the cut again and then to his medical kit on the wall. The child's large eyes followed his movement. It didn't run away, which June took as a good sign. Moving slowly, June went to the medical kit and took out the translator device. All colony scientists carried them just in case. He had never used his before. "This will help us talk," June explained, turning on the device. It hummed softly as it activated. June spoke into it. "Hello, my name is June. I'm a scientist. I want to help you." The translator made clicking and whistling sounds, trying to convert his words into the vegan language. The scientists had been recording and studying vegan speech for years, but no human had ever had a real conversation with one. The child tilted its head, listening. Then, to June's surprise, it spoke back. The translator converted the sounds into a robotic version of human speech. Lost, hurt, storm. 3 simple words, but June felt his heart jump with excitement. Yes, there was a storm. "Did you get lost? In the storm?" June asked. The child nodded, an unexpectedly human gesture. "Home far, fell down, saw lights." June looked at the cut again. "I can help with your injury. Then we can figure out how to get you home." The child didn't move for a long moment, then slowly it held out the injured arm. June went back to the medical kit and took out antiseptic and bandages. He knew vegan biology was different from human, but the basics of wound care should be similar. Clean the wound, stop the bleeding, prevent infection. "This might sting a little," June warned as he gently cleaned the cut. The child flinched but didn't pull away. As he worked, June asked, "What is your name?" "Nari." The translator converted from the musical sounds the child made. "Nari," June repeated. "Nice to meet you, Nari. Are you hungry?" Nari nodded again. After bandaging the wound, June led Nari to the small kitchen area of his lab. He wasn't sure what vegans ate, but he had studied their biology enough to make an educated guess. He offered Nari some fruit and a protein bar. Nari sniffed the food carefully before taking a small bite of the fruit. Her large eyes widened, and she quickly ate the rest. Good? June asked, smiling. Good. Nari agreed through the translator. Outside, the storm grew stronger. Rain hammered against the windows and wind howled around the building. There was no way June could take Nari home tonight, even if he knew where her home was. You can. Stay here until the storm passes, June said. Tomorrow we'll find your people. While Nari ate, June thought about what he was doing. He was breaking at least 3 colony rules. The administration would be very angry if they found out, but he couldn't just throw an injured child out into the storm, even if that child was an alien. June made a simple bed for Nari using spare blankets. The child seemed tired after eating and curled up without hesitation. Within minutes, Nari was asleep. June sat at his desk watching the small purple figure breathing softly. This was the closest contact any human had ever had with a vegan. He should be taking notes, making observations, collecting data. Instead, all he could think about was how far from home this child must be, and how frightened her family must be. He took out his tablet and began making a plan. The vegan settlement was about 20 kilometers to the east. If the storm cleared by morning, they could start early. He would have to be careful not to be seen by other humans or vegans. Just get Nari close enough to her home that she could find her way back safely. As the night grew darker, June found himself wondering about vegan families. Did they search for missing children like humans did? Did they form the same kinds of bonds? The scientists knew so little about vegan culture and social structures. They were careful, almost timid beings who avoided human contact. Yet here was one, sleeping peacefully in his lab, trusting him. June looked at his communication device. He should report this. That was the protocol. Instead, he put the device away and dimmed the lights. Tomorrow would be complicated enough. For now, he had done the right thing. Not as a scientist, but as a human being. Outside, the storm began to ease, and June finally allowed himself to rest. He didn't know it yet, but his simple act of kindness would change everything, for himself, for Nari, and for the future of human-vegan relations. 3 days had passed since June found Nari in his lab. The storm had lasted longer than expected, keeping them inside the research station. During this time, June had learned more about vegans than all the colony scientists had discovered in 5 years. Nari was a quick learner. She picked up simple human words easily, though the translator still helped with longer conversations. She showed June how her tendrils could sense changes in the air, warning her of danger. This explained how the vegans always seemed to know when storms were coming. Today we go to your home, June said as he packed a small bag with food and water. Can you show me the way? Nari nodded. She seemed both happy and sad about leaving. June, friend? She said without using the translator. June smiled. Yes, June, friend. He had decided not to tell anyone at the colony about Nari. The rules about contact with natives were strict. Scientists could only observe from a distance. Never interact, never interfere. But June knew he had done the right thing by helping her. They left the research station early in the morning. The air was fresh after the long rain, and the strange pink plants that covered the hills looked brighter than usual. Nari walked beside June, sometimes stopping to touch plants or listen to sounds June couldn't hear. How far is your home? June asked. Nari pointed to a distant line of trees. There, by Big Water. They walked for about an hour. June kept checking his map device to make sure they wouldn't run into other humans. He had told his boss he was going to collect samples alone. Today, no one would look for him. As they got closer to the trees, Nari became more excited. She walked faster, pulling on June's hand. Home soon, she said. Just then, June's communication device beeped loudly. He pulled it out and saw an urgent message from the colony. Alert. Group of vegans approaching Research Station 7. All personnel return immediately. June froze. Research Station 7 was his station. Vegans were coming there now while he was out here with Nari. This had never happened before. "We need to go back," he told Nari. "Your people are looking for you at my home." Nari's eyes widened. "Mother come?" she asked. "Maybe," June said. "We need to hurry." They turned and walked quickly back the way they had come. June was worried. What if the vegans thought he had taken Nari? What if they attacked the station? Relations between humans and vegans had been peaceful but distant. This could change everything. When they finally reached the top of the last hill, June saw something that made him stop. In front of his research station stood a group of about 10 vegans. They were taller than Nari, with darker purple skin. Several colony security officers stood nearby, looking nervous. "Wait here," June told Nari. "Let me talk to them first." But Nari had already seen the group. She made a high singing sound that the translator couldn't process. One of the vegans turned toward the sound and made a similar noise in response. "Mother!" Nari cried, running down the hill. June ran after her, heart pounding. This was not how he had planned to return Nari to her people. The tallest vegan stepped forward as Nari approached. This one wore a complex woven garment with shining stones woven into it. The vegan bent down and touched foreheads with Nari. The tendrils on both their heads began to glow with soft blue light. "Mother and daughter," June whispered to himself. He stopped a few meters away, not sure what to do. The colony security chief, Officer Park, walked up to June with an angry look. "Dr. Kim, where have you been? And what do you know about this child?" Before June could answer, the tall vegan straightened up and looked at him. Something about those large, intelligent eyes made June's words stick in his throat. "You are the one who helped my daughter?" the vegan asked through a translator device held by one of the security officers. The voice was soft and musical, even through the mechanical translation. June nodded. "Yes. She was hurt in the storm. I found her in my lab 3 days ago." The security chief looked shocked. 3 days? You've been hiding a vegan for 3 days? Do you know how many rules you've broken? The tall vegan stepped closer to June. "I am Minji, leader of the Eastern Shore clan. My daughter Nari became lost during the acid storm. Our trackers followed her path to this place, but we feared she had died. No child has ever survived an acid storm alone." June looked at Nari with new understanding. "Acid storm? I didn't know." "The rains that fell were highly acidic," Minji explained. "They burn our skin if we stay in them too long. Nari would have died if you had not helped her." Nari showed her mother the bandage on her arm. June fixed hurt, gave food, made soft bed. Minji's tendrils changed color, shifting from purple to a soft gold. "You saved my child when all hope was lost. You treated her with kindness when you could have treated her as a specimen. Why?" The question surprised June. She was a child who needed help. "That's all." Officer Park stepped forward. "Dr. Kim broke protocols. He should have reported finding the child immediately." Minji turned to look at the security officer. "And what would you have done with my daughter?" Park looked uncomfortable. "We would have returned her to your people, of course." "After studying her?" Minji asked. "After taking samples and pictures and measurements?" No one answered. Everyone knew that was exactly what would have happened. Minji turned back to June. "You saw my child as a person, not a subject to study. This is why I have come with my counsel today. Not just to find Nari, but to speak with humans properly for the first time." The tension in the air changed. The colony security officers looked at each other with surprise. The vegans who had come with Minji stood straighter, their tendrils changing colors and patterns June couldn't understand. "We have watched you humans since you arrived on our world," Minji continued. "We have kept our distance because we were not sure of your intentions. But now one of you has shown true kindness to one of us. This changes things." Minji reached out and, to everyone's shock, took June's hand in hers. Her 6-fingered hand was warm and surprisingly soft. You have honored my family and my clan with your actions, she said. I wish to honor you in return. Will you visit our settlement? No human has ever been invited before. Officer Park started to object, but June spoke first. I would be honored, he said. Nari made a happy sound and clapped her hands. June, come home. Tomorrow, Minji said. We will send guides at sunrise. As the Vegans prepared to leave with Nari, the little girl ran back to June one last time. She reached up and touched his forehead with her small hand. Thank you, June friend, she said in her own language, which June now understood without the translator. Watching them walk away into the strange pink forest, June knew that his life had changed forever. He had broken the rules, but in doing so he had opened a door between two worlds, and tomorrow he would step through that door. The morning sun painted the sky with streaks of orange and pink. June stood outside the research station waiting. He had barely slept. How could he? Today he would be the first human to visit a vegan settlement. Director Lee had not been happy. This is highly irregular, Dr. Kim, she had said during their video call last night. But the opportunity is too valuable to pass up. You will document everything. Take samples if permitted. This could advance our research by years. June had nodded, but in his heart, he knew he wasn't going as a scientist today. He was going as Nari's friend. Two tall figures appeared on the path vegan guides just as Minji had promised. They wore simple clothes with many pockets and carried long walking sticks. I am Juan, one of them said through a translator. This is Duri. We will take you to our home. June bowed slightly. Thank you for coming. The journey took nearly 3 hours. They walked through forests of pink trees, crossed streams with water that glowed faintly blue, and climbed hills covered in spiral-shaped plants. The Vegans moved gracefully, sometimes stopping to touch trees or plants with their tendrils. What are you doing when you touch the plants? June asked. Juan's tendrils changed color slightly. We listen. The plants talk. Everything talks, Duri said, if you know how to listen. Finally, they reached the edge of a wide valley. Below, June saw the vegan settlement for the first time. It wasn't what he expected. There were no simple huts or primitive buildings. Instead, the Vegans lived in homes that seemed to grow from the earth itself. Large round structures with smooth walls rose from the ground like giant mushrooms. Windows spiraled around them, catching the light. Between the buildings, gardens grew in perfect circles. It's beautiful, June said. Juan nodded. This is where we have lived for many generations. As they walked into the settlement, vegan children ran up to look at June. They were like smaller versions of Nari with bright, curious eyes. Some reached out to touch his clothes, then ran away giggling. Minji was waiting in the center of the settlement. She stood before the largest building, wearing the same woven garment with shining stones. Nari was beside her, wearing a new dress with small blue flowers woven into it. June, Nari called, running to him. You came. June smiled. I promised I would. Minji stepped forward. Welcome to our home, June of Earth. We have prepared a meal to honor your visit. Inside the large central building, many Vegans had gathered. They sat in a circle on cushions made of woven plant fibers. In the center, various foods were arranged on large leaves instead of plates. June sat where Minji indicated, between her and an older Vegan with gray-streaked skin. Nari sat across from him, looking excited. This is our council, Minji explained. The wisest members of our clan. The older Vegan next to June spoke. I am Quan, keeper of memory. We have watched humans since they first came to our world. You are different from what we expected. How so? June asked. You build with metal and plastic. You cut the earth. You separate yourselves from nature, Quan said. Yet you showed kindness to a child not your own. This is why we wish to meet you. The meal began. June tried foods he had never seen before, sweet fruits that melted in his mouth. Something like bread but purple and lighter than air. A drink that tasted like honey and made his tongue tingle. After they ate, Minji stood. Now we will show you something no human has seen, the living memory of our people. She led June, Nari, and several council members out of the building and down a path that led below the valley. They entered a cave lit by glowing moss similar to what June had been studying. The moss grew thicker as they went deeper, until they entered a vast underground chamber. June gasped. The entire chamber was alive with light. Massive structures rose from the floor to the ceiling like giant coral formations. They pulsed with soft colors that shifted and changed. Vegans moved among them, some touching the structures with their tendrils, which glowed in response. "What is this place?" June asked, his voice hushed. "Our library," Minji said. "Our history, our knowledge." Quan stepped forward. "These are memory trees. They hold the collected wisdom of all our generations. When we touch them, we can see and feel the memories stored within." June looked at the structures with new understanding. "They're biological data storage systems." Quan nodded. "That is one way to see them. We share our knowledge with the trees and they keep it safe for future generations." Minji touched one of the structures. Her tendrils glowed brightly as they connected with the surface. "Look," she said, moving aside. Hesitantly, June placed his hand where hers had been. Nothing happened at first. Then he felt a tingling sensation. Images flashed in his mind. Vegan children playing. A storm raging over the valley. Flowers blooming in time-lapse speed. He pulled his hand away, amazed. "I saw memories." "Yes," Minji said. "The trees share a little with you even though you do not have tendrils. This means you have an open mind." As they walked deeper into the chamber, Minji's expression grew serious. "June, we did not bring you here only to share our wonder. We need your help." She led him to a section where the memory trees looked different. Their colors were darker, some branches withered. "Our world is changing," she explained. "The acid storms grow stronger each year. They kill our plants, poison our water. This is part of a natural cycle that happens every 1,000 years. But this time is worse than any in our memory." Quan touched one of the ailing trees. "The last time was the Great Burning. Many of our people died. Many plants and animals disappeared forever." June thought about the colony's weather records. They had noted increased storm activity but hadn't understood the pattern or the danger. "How long until the worst storms begin?" "One season," Minji said. "Maybe less." "What can I do?" June asked. Minji's tendrils changed to a deep blue color. "Humans have technologies we do not. Ways to protect against the acid, ways to clean the water. We have lived in balance with our world for many thousands of years, but this cycle may be too strong for our old ways." June realized what she was asking. "You want me to bring human technology to help you survive the storms?" "Not just technology," Minji said. "Understanding partnership, our people know this world in ways humans do not. Your people have tools we do not have. Together, perhaps we can find a new way." Nari, who had been quiet, suddenly spoke up. "June helped me. Now June help everyone." The simple trust in her voice touched June deeply. He looked around at the memory, trees, at the ancient wisdom stored within them. "If the Vegans died out, all of this would be lost forever. I'll do whatever I can," he promised. As they left the memory chamber, Minji placed a hand on June's arm. "There is one more thing you should know about our people, June of Earth. Something important for what comes next." "What is that?" he asked. "Among the Vegans, the greatest honor is not strength or wealth or even wisdom," she said. "It is compassion. Those who care for others, especially for children, are considered the most worthy to lead." Her eyes held his, and for a moment June felt something pass between them, something he couldn't quite name. "Tomorrow," Minji said, "we will have a special ceremony. You must be there." As June was led back to his guest quarters, a small round building near the edge of the settlement, he wondered what Minji meant. What kind of ceremony? And why did she look at him that way when she spoke of compassion and leadership? The answers would come soon enough, and they would change everything. Morning came with a gentle chiming sound. June opened his eyes to see small crystal bells hanging in the window of his guest house, moving in the breeze. He had slept better than expected on the soft bed made of woven plant fibers. A knock at the door announced Nari, who bounced excitedly on her toes. "Today is big ceremony," she said, her translator device making her words clear. "You must wear special clothes." She handed him a bundle of fabric. It was similar to what the council members had worn yesterday, made of a light, silky material in deep blue with silver threads running through it. "Thank you, Nari," June said. "What kind of ceremony is this?" Nari's tendrils flickered with colors. "Important ceremony. For you and Mother." Before June could ask more questions, Nari ran off saying she needed to get ready too. June put on the vegan clothes. They fit surprisingly well and felt cool against his skin. Outside, the settlement was busy with activity. Vegans were hanging colorful banners between buildings and setting up long tables in the center square. Juan appeared and guided June to a small building near the central hall. Inside, several elder vegans waited, including Juan. "Sit, please," Juan said, gesturing to a cushion. "We must explain some things before the ceremony." June sat, feeling nervous. "What is this ceremony about?" Juan's tendrils shifted to a deep purple. "It is a leadership ceremony. In our culture, leaders must have partners. No one leads alone. Minji has led without a partner since her previous mate died 3 seasons ago. This has been allowed because of special circumstances, but it cannot continue." "I'm not sure I understand," June said. Another elder spoke up. "Leadership pairs bring balance. One cannot make good decisions for all without the perspective of another. Minji must choose a new partner," Quan continued, "or she must step down as leader. This comes at the worst possible time with the acid storms approaching." June was starting to get an uneasy feeling. "What does this have to do with me?" The elders looked at each other. Quan spoke carefully. "Minji has made her choice. Today she will announce it to the clan." Before June could ask more questions, a loud musical sound filled the air. The elders stood. "It is time," Quan said. "Come." They led June to the central square, which was now filled with vegans of all ages. They stood in a large circle, leaving the center open. June was guided to stand at one edge of the circle. A hush fell over the crowd as Minji appeared. She wore an elaborate dress that seemed to be made of living flowers and leaves. Nari walked beside her, wearing a smaller version of the same outfit. They took their places in the center of the circle. Minji raised her hands and her voice rang out clear and strong. "People of the Eastern Shore clan, I come before you today as your leader, to fulfill our oldest tradition." The crowd responded, with a musical sound that the translator couldn't process. June guessed it was a formal response. 3 seasons ago, when Taiho joined the ancestors, I was granted time to lead alone, Minji continued. That time has passed. Now, with the great storms approaching, our clan needs the strength of balanced leadership. I must choose a partner or I must step aside. Murmurs spread through the crowd. June noticed some vegans looking at him with curious expressions. "I have made my choice," Minji announced. "I choose one who has proven his worth not through strength, or wealth, or even wisdom, but through the greatest quality a leader can possess: compassion." She turned and looked directly at June. "I choose June of Earth, who saved my daughter when she was lost, who helped her without thought of reward, who saw her as a child in need, not as an alien to study." The crowd gasped. June felt his heart skip a beat. This couldn't be happening. "June of Earth," Minji called. "Please join me in the circle." Quan gave June a gentle push forward. In a daze, June walked to the center of the circle and stood facing Minji. "Minji," he said quietly, "what exactly are you asking?" "I am asking you to be my partner in leadership," she said, "to join your knowledge with mine, to help guide our people through the coming storms. In your words, I ask you to be my husband." June's mind raced. This was impossible. Humans and vegans were different species. They couldn't marry. What would the colony say? What would Earth say? I'm honored, he stammered. But I don't think this is possible. An elder stepped forward. If you refuse, Minji must step down. Her cousin Dosu will become leader. June looked at the crowd and saw a tall vegan male with dark tendrils step forward. His expression was cold. Dosu believes we should hide from the storms in the deep caves, Minji explained. Many would not survive. He also believes we should cut all contact with humans. He sees your people as a threat. Nari looked up at June with worried eyes. Please say yes, she whispered. Mother needs you. We all need you. Before June could respond, his communication device beeped. He had forgotten he was carrying it. He pulled it out to see a message from Director Lee. Urgent. Team arriving your location in 30 minutes. Acid storm approaching colony. Need your findings immediately. At that moment, a vegan runner burst into the circle, tendrils flashing bright red. Scouts report acid storm moving toward valley. 2 days away at most. The crowd erupted in fearful sounds. Children were pulled close by their parents. Dosu stepped forward. This is what comes of dealing with outsiders, he shouted. The storms come early. We must retreat to the caves now. The caves will not save everyone, Minji countered. We need new solutions. June looked at his device again. The colony had technology that could help protect against the acid storms. But would they share it? Not without something in return. Suddenly, June understood what he had to do. This wasn't about marriage in the human sense. This was about forming an alliance that could save both their peoples. I need to speak, he said loudly. The crowd fell silent. My people are also threatened by these storms. We have technology that can help protect against the acid, but we need your knowledge of this world to use it properly. He turned to face Minji. I cannot be your husband in the way humans understand that word, but I can be your partner in finding a way to save both our peoples. Minji's tendrils changed to a bright gold color. That is what I am asking. The words are different, but the meaning is the same. Partnership, alliance, a joining of different strengths. Dosu stepped forward angrily. This is not our way. An outsider cannot lead. Our way must change or we will die, Quan said firmly. The memory trees have shown us this. From the edge of the circle, a group of humans appeared. Director Lee led them, her eyes wide as she took in the scene. Dr. Kim, what is going on here? She demanded. June stood tall between the two groups, humans on one side, vegans on the other. In this moment, he alone stood between potential conflict and cooperation. Director Lee, this is Minji, leader of the Eastern Shore clan. She has just proposed an official alliance between our peoples, with me as a liaison. June chose his words carefully. I believe this could be valuable for both sides, especially with the acid storms approaching. Director Lee looked surprised but intrigued. An alliance? That's unexpected. The storm comes in 2 days, Minji said through her translator. Will you work with us, or will we face it separately? The fate of two peoples hung in the balance, as humans and vegans faced each other across the circle. And in the middle stood June, Minji, and little Nari, the first bridge between two worlds. The silence stretched between the two groups. Humans on one side, vegans on the other. The wind picked up, carrying with it a faint sour smell. The acid storm was coming. Director Lee broke the silence first. Dr. Kim, please explain exactly what is happening here. June took a deep breath. The vegans face a crisis. The acid storms are part of a natural cycle that happens every 1,000 years. This time, the storms are worse than ever. They need our help to survive. And this ceremony? Director Lee asked, looking at Minji's formal attire and the gathered crowd. Vegan leaders must have partners, June explained. Minji has asked me to be her partner in leadership. It would create an official alliance between our peoples. Director, Lee's eyebrows shot up. She asked you to marry her? In their culture, it's not the same as human marriage, June said quickly. It's a leadership pair bond, a political alliance. Dosu stepped forward, his tendrils dark with anger. This is not our way. Our traditions are sacred. An outsider cannot lead the Eastern Shore clan. Quan, the memory keeper, raised his hands for silence. The memory trees tell us that in the time of the Great Burning, our ancestors survived by finding new paths. Old ways died so our people could live. Minji nodded. My proposal follows our oldest law. Leaders must act for the good of all. If joining with humans will save our children from the acid, then it is the right path. Director Lee was looking, thoughtful. What exactly would this alliance mean for the colony? We would share our technology to help them survive the storms, June said. In return, they would share their knowledge of this planet. The Vegans understand this world in ways we don't. They can communicate with plants, predict weather patterns, find resources we've overlooked. It could advance our research by years. One of the scientists in Director Lee's group murmured. Nari, who had been quiet, suddenly took June's hand. June already family, she said simply. He saved me. Her words cut through the tension. Several Vegans nodded in agreement. Director Lee pulled June aside to speak privately. This is unprecedented, Dr. Kim. Earth will have questions. Many questions. I know, June said. But we don't have time for questions. The storm is coming. We need to act now. Director Lee looked at the Vegans, at the dark clouds gathering on the horizon, then back at June. What do you propose? We bring our portable shields to the settlement, June said. The ones designed to protect our equipment from acid rain. We modify them to cover the main buildings. We bring medical supplies in case anyone is injured. And in return, Minji will share the memory trees with us. Not all their secrets, but enough to help us understand this planet better. She will assign guides to help our scientists. Real cooperation, not just observation. Director Lee thought for a moment. I need to consult with the Colony Council. There's no time, June insisted. The storm will be here in 2 days. Director Lee looked at him hard. You really believe this is the right thing to do? I do, June said without hesitation. After a long moment, Director Lee nodded. Very well, we'll help. But this political alliance, this marriage, that's your decision, Dr. Kim. The colony cannot officially sanction it. June turned back to the gathered crowd. Minji still stood in the center of the circle, waiting for his answer. Her tendrils were a soft, anxious blue. I've spoken with my leader, June announced. Humans will help protect your settlement from the coming storm. We will bring shields against the acid rain and medicine for anyone who gets hurt. The Vegans made sounds of relief and gratitude, but Minji's expression remained serious. And my proposal? She asked quietly. June walked back to the center of the circle to stand before her. I accept your proposal, Minji of the Eastern Shore clan. Not as a human would understand marriage, but as a partnership between our peoples. I will work with you to lead your clan through this crisis and to build a new relationship between humans and vegans. Minji's tendrils changed to bright gold. It is done, she said, her voice strong and clear. She turned to address the crowd. June of Earth is now partner to your leader. We will face the acid storm together, with new shields from human science and old wisdom from the memory trees. Dosu stepped forward again. I challenge this decision, he called out. The outsider knows nothing of our ways. How can he lead? He will learn, Minji replied calmly. As we will learn from him. Quan moved to stand beside Minji and June. The council approves this partnership. It is decided. Most of the Vegans made sounds of agreement, though some looked uncertain. Dosu and a small group of followers moved to the edge of the crowd, their disapproval clear. Now we must prepare, Minji said. The storm comes quickly. The next 2 days were the busiest of June's life. Human shuttles arrived from the colony, bringing shield generators, medical supplies, and equipment. Vegan workers helped set up the shields over the most important buildings. The memory trees were protected first, then the homes with children. and elders. Director Lee coordinated with the colony, while June worked with Minji to organize the Vegans. Nari stayed close to them both, carrying messages and helping wherever she could. "You are good leader," she told June as they finished securing a shield over a nursery where the youngest Vegan children would stay during the storm. "Like mother." June smiled at her. "I'm learning." On the morning of the second day, the storm arrived. The sky turned yellow, then gray. The wind carried the smell of burning metal. Everyone moved inside the protected buildings. June, Minji, and Nari waited in the central hall with the council members and the human scientists. Outside, the first drops of acid rain began to fall. They sizzled where they hit the ground. "Will the shields hold?" Minji asked, watching through a window as the rain grew heavier. "They will," June assured her, though he felt less certain than he sounded. The shields had never been tested against a storm this severe. As the storm intensified, they could hear the acid rain pounding against the shields. A strange hissing filled the air. Everyone was quiet, waiting. Suddenly, one of the shield generators made a loud popping sound. Warning lights flashed. "Shield 3 is failing," a human technician called out. "That's over the west nursery," Minji said, her voice tight with fear. Without hesitation, June ran to the equipment panel. "We need to reroute power from the secondary systems," he told the technician. Together they worked to stabilize the shield. Outside, the acid rain fell like liquid fire. If the shield failed, it would burn through the nursery roof in minutes. "It's not working," the technician said. "We need more power." Minji stepped forward. "The memory trees, they generate energy. We can connect to them." The human technicians looked confused, but June understood. "Show us how," he said. Minji led them to a panel hidden in the floor. Beneath it, thick root-like structures pulsed with light. "Connect your wires here," she said. "The trees will provide what you need." The technicians worked quickly. When they made the final connection, the roots glowed brightly. Power flowed into the shield system, stabilizing all the generators. For hours the storm raged. But inside the protected buildings, Vegans and humans waited safely. Some of the Vegans sang soft songs to calm the children. Human scientists recorded data about the storm. Dosu and his followers watched silently from a corner. Finally, after what seemed like forever, the rain began to ease. The yellow clouds thinned. June and Minji looked out the window as the first clear light broke through. "We did it," June said quietly. "Together." Minji's tendrils glowed with joy. "This is just the beginning," she said. "There will be more storms, more challenges, but now we face them as one people." Nari squeezed between them and took both their hands in hers. "New family," she said happily. "New home." As they stepped outside to inspect the damage, June saw that while much of the unprotected plant life had been burned away, all the shielded buildings stood undamaged. The memory trees were safe. The people were safe. Humans and Vegans worked side by side, checking buildings, helping those few who had suffered minor injuries. Even Dosu and his followers joined the effort. June looked at this new world he had helped create at the bridge built between two very different peoples. It had started with one simple act of kindness to a lost child. Now it had become something much bigger, something that would change both humans and Vegans forever. "What happens now?" Director Lee asked, coming to stand beside him. June looked at Minji and Nari, who were helping an elder Vegan from one of the buildings. "Now we learn from each other," he said. "Now we grow together." The journey ahead would not be easy. There would be misunderstandings, disagreements, problems to solve. But today, they had taken the first step. Today, they had chosen to face the future as one.